Well, a village in Jackson Parish is trying to cut down on the number of speeders. Kenya Ross joins us now with more on what they're doing. Kenya?
Thanks, Jennifer. The village of Eros started enforcing radars last fall due to drivers going above the speed limit. But the Jackson Parish Sheriff's Department thinks there's a better way to control traffic violators.
The village of Eros has hired a private company to do traffic cameras, and the company is sending motorist tickets in the mail. And I'm not for that, and I have nothing to do with that. It is legal for the town of Eros to hire that company and do that.
Mayor Roy Daniel Bailey of the village of Eros says they have a terrible speeding problem along Highway 34, and they're just trying to slow the traffic down. Bailey said when they first began catching traffic violators this past fall, they caught 134 speeders on the first day. According to the mayor's office, the enforced radars have only helped the village financially, but they want the speeders to slow down.
Well, we was flat broke when I come in here and owed everybody in the world. And couldn't borrow no money because you owe too much. Couldn't get no help from the state because you owe too much. So that was a means of trying to get the town afloat.
The traffic company that assists the village issued a citation to a Chatham resident for speeding in February 2024. The driver owed $140. Even though the Jackson Parish Sheriff personally disagrees with the practice, the sheriff's office placed a flashing billboard sign in the area, warning drivers of the speed trap going through the village.
But the law has changed, and if you're doing this now, even if you're a private company, the private company has to have a police officer writing the tickets, and they have to be commissioned. So the town of Eros commissioned a police officer for this company. So take that commissioned police officer and give him the radar and do it like normal law enforcement.
And the mayor of the village says for the past 3 to 4 weeks, the office has stopped enforcing radars. The office does not know when they'll start back enforcing the traffic cameras and issuing those citations.